Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I'm back for another channel update and random topic video. I really need to come up with a better name for that, but hey, it is what it is. I try to do these at least once a month or so, just to give people channel updates and my thoughts on a few different things. I get questions via the comment section or via Twitter or Blue Sky Now or what have you. So, trying to answer people's questions. Talk about major topics that are happening either in gaming, accessibility, technology, occasionally the world. I try to stay out of, politics and everything going on, especially these days. But I don't know. People do ask me that on occasion, like, "Oh, what do you think about all this crap happening?" And I might actually touch on that a little bit this weekend because right now we are in the land of absolute like anarchy descending to apocalypse. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it's really stupid, and maybe I'll chat a little bit about that later. But to everyone who has been supporting the channel, thank you. Definitely thank you for your support, whether you've been here 10 minutes or 10 years. I've been doing this since 2012, believe it or not. But, thank you to everybody for watching the videos, liking them, subscribing them, sharing them, comments. I've had some good comments on some of the videos recently again. So, yeah, thank you to everybody for that. If you are new to the channel, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Sometimes more frequently, maybe there's some cool tech or gaming news, accessibility news, event. E3 is not a thing anymore, but we got GA-Conf coming up. Um, we just finished CSUN this last week. It could be a holiday video, could be any number of different things. So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday are my typical video days, but sometimes I may have a bonus video for you guys here and there as well. Everything is divided into playlists, so you should be able to find something of interest. And I largely cover, I cover a lot of different things, but it all really boils down to covering technology and gaming accessibility. So, I cover technology and games as both a low vision user, which I am, hence the term legally blind, illegally sighted. But I also, I try to cover accessibility of technology and games for totally blind players and users as well. So, I have a lot of different playlists. I have everything from low vision spotlights, those are games I play with my usable vision. Accessible game spotlight videos. There's a few, and again, there are different series of these, like PC accessible game spotlight or Xbox, PlayStation accessible spot, whatever. But low vision spotlight, accessible game spotlights, hardware reviews. I have a few virtual reality VR playlists, like VR apps or experiences and games and VR accessibility. I've got a game accessibility playlist where I cover different topics and aspects of game accessibility. I have a podcast presentations and interviews playlist where I've thank you to everybody who has invited me to be on their video or podcast or be interview, that kind of a thing. Over the last several years, I've been doing a lot of that, and I do enjoy it. So thank you to everybody for that. If they are in video form, I will post them or I will link to them here in that particular playlist. I have a Growing Up Illegally Cited playlist, which this is the playlist where if, again, people have a lot of common questions. I try to answer them there. What is my vision like? How did I get into my day job? How did I get into being a assistive technology specialist? How did I get into working with game accessibility and tech accessibility? I try to answer people's common questions. I also cover topics like, grade school, high school, college, transition, employment, all of these things that kind of have this unique aspect of it because if somebody has a disability, there can definitely be some unique challenges, as it were, and some, unique opportunities if you play your cards right. But definitely check that playlist out. I would love for that playlist to get a little bit more traction. I know we've gotten a few more viewers and subscribers. I've done a few presentations and interviews and different things like that over the last couple of months. So, if you are new, check out all the playlists and hopefully you'll find something interesting there. Um, I did look at just right before recording this video. It looks like we're a little bit below 4,500 subscribers. I think it was what was it, like 4,462 or something like that. I forget exactly the number, but it's not too bad. It'd be cool if we could get to 4,500. But it's a small channel. Like, I'm happy with what we got. We're growing. People come to watch. I've gotten good comments, as I said before, so that's great. One interesting thing that I found sort of unique, though, is, and I'm still trying to sort of wrap my head around it. And I get it, because on one hand, players without sight, totally blind players, in a way, are starved for uh, a lot of accessible games. There are a lot of accessible games now, be it on PC and mobile especially, but even some console games now. But compared to the gazillions of games that one could potentially play with if you had some usable vision, there's just not a lot out there. And so, so what I'm saying is basically those videos, the videos that I cover, where I cover games that are playable by totally blind players, those typically get a lot more views. But I was thinking about this the other day, and the whole statistic is, I forget what the percentage is, but like a much, much higher percentage of people with vision impairments, aren't totally blind. And that's a common misconception that a lot of non-disabled people have about, well, people with disabilities in general. Either you're blind or you can see. Either you can hear or you can't. Either you can walk or you can't. There are people in who use wheelchairs who, they can get up and, get something, stand up and grab something off the shelf, or maybe they can walk a very short distance. This whole disability is a spectrum thing. But what I find interesting is that, for as many, the percentage of people who are, let's say, low vision versus totally blind, like my low vision spotlight games, the games that I play with my remaining vision, don't get near the number of views, like comparatively, that when I release an accessible game or accessible app spotlight video. You would think that the low vision ones would do better because there's just more people with low vision, but I don't know. It is what it is, but it's just one of those weird observations I have been thinking about a little bit off and on lately. As far as channel updates go, you may notice, so before I say this, actually, the way I unlock videos is I record videos, whenever I can. And if there's something really timely that I want to get out, like, oh, there's a game that just had a whole bunch of, great accessibility things, I want to cover that right now, I will do so. But for games that, I'm catching up on my Steam library, or maybe I just check something out on Game Pass, or it's just a game that I eventually get to, where it's like, oh yeah, I should cover this game because I really liked it and I went back to play it again. I will record those videos and just, upload them privately. And then that way, if I am sick or I'm out of town or I'm just kind of in a little bit of a funk and I haven't recorded videos in a while, you guys won't even know any better, because I'll just release videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and life is good. So some of the videos that I release, for games and such are, they could be a few weeks old, they could even be a few months old. But as long as it's not like a really time sensitive thing, it doesn't matter. I could cover a game that came out yesterday or a game that kind of came out 15 years ago. But the reason that I bring that up is, I used to stream on Twitch from about 2018 until what, 2021, 2022, maybe a little bit. And I've been toying with the idea, should I come back? Should I not? How do I want to handle it? I'm not, again, I've said in other earlier updates that I'm not necessarily retiring from Twitch or streaming, but I just haven't really felt like doing it. I enjoy doing it when I do it, but if you're going to stream, again, just like having a YouTube channel or a podcast, you really want to, and this is, just a friendly tip for people thinking about content creation, consistency is important. If you want to build an audience, if you want them to um, subscribe to you, if you want them to follow you, I think consistency is really important. So, instead of just like, oh, I'm going to record 4 videos and just release them all right away, you could do that, but then you don't record, let's say, for a week, and then you record 2 videos, and then you wait, and then you record 3 videos. If you start building a regular schedule, then people can kind of begin to know, like, oh, this guy uploads videos every Saturday or whatever. There's a lot of channels that I follow on YouTube or podcasts. Like, I know what day they're going to come out, and I look forward to them. Um, yeah, okay. So I was like, where was I going with that? So Twitch or streaming, I just don't feel I have the capacity to do work and YouTube and Twitch and consulting and then just having time for me. I want to read, I want to play drums, I want to hang out with friends, I want to, whatever it is I want to do, play games or whatever. So I largely am um, really taking a break from streaming and from Twitch. And so you may notice in the last couple of videos that I've made, you might notice, at the end of videos, I'll say, you can follow me on Twitter here, you can follow me on Blue Sky here, follow me on Twitch, whatever. I'm not really promoting that at the end of my videos as much, and I'm probably not really going to promote them unless I start streaming again, because it doesn't really pay to be like, hey, you can follow me on Twitch. Oh, well, the guy hasn't uploaded or streamed anything for a year and a half. Well, why would I follow? So you'll see some older videos that still have, where I'll still say, follow me on Twitch at, illegally cited. But going forward, I'm not really going to promote that unless I start really streaming again. So if you wonder about that change, and just for anyone wondering if I'm going to go back to streaming, right now with everything that I've got going on, YouTube is working a lot better for me right now. And even, for like live events, I did the Sony event, I did a Microsoft event. I'm sure when the Switch 2 thing comes out in early April, when they have that stream, I'll probably just, instead of streaming it, I'll just like record it as a live reaction and then upload it right after, as I've been doing for the last couple. So it's kind of like the sweet spot of both worlds. Like, you'll get kind of a live reaction, but it won't be, it just won't be streamed out to everybody live with chat and such. So that's one change. Otherwise, everything on the channel is just going to be continuing as normal. We've got a lot of videos here. I did finally take a look at Avowed. I was able to play that recently, and it's one I want to get back into. There are some frustrating things about like following the navigation. I really wish that there was something a little bit better about that. But I was kind of getting into the combat, I've found a couple better pieces of armor, and in this video when I was in combat and just getting massacred, yeah, it turns out I went to a different part of the map and I was having a much better time. I probably shouldn't have been where I was with the equipment that I had at that time. Got my video I did a presentation for our, Minnesota Department of Ed. They were wondering about, about game accessibility because, students are interested in it. They want to maybe pursue it as a career. They want to, play games that their sighted peers play. So I did a presentation on that. You can check that out. I've covered a few iOS accessible games, a lot of low vision games, some boomer shooters, retro FPS. As far as like, as far as PC and console blind accessible games, the drought is sort of continuing. 2024 really didn't have that much. 2023 was pretty great. We had a few really big releases on that. Um, I don't know if the kind of the beat 'em up sequel to Brock the Investigator will be out this year. I follow him on social media, and I know he's working on it, so that'll be a fun one to check out. I know that The Last of Us Part 2 is coming to PC, so if you don't have a PlayStation 5, but you do have a PC, and again, remember, these are big AAA games. You're not going to be able to play this on your bargain basement, $600 PC. You do need a halfway decent rig. If you want to go the PC route and even use a controller, you really still should have, you don't have to have the top of the line, but you do have to meet, the minimum specs so it plays smoothly and runs. But other than that, I don't know of really any. I can't think of any games that we know about at least. We still have the Nintendo thing next month. I don't know if the Switch. The main thing I want to know about the Switch 2, yes, I want to know what games are going to be coming out for it, but I really, really, really want to know if Nintendo is finally going to add system-wide accessibility features beyond the zoom feature that's in the original Switch. Don't get me wrong, I love the zoom feature. I use it all the time when I use the Switch, but I would really love some menu narration. That would be wonderful. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, as far as PC and console games, whether they're AAA or indie or anything in between, I don't know, guys. I don't know of anything. There's games that could have potential. There's games that I would hope would be blind accessible. But again, they haven't officially announced, so I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What other channel updates do we have? Like I said, the Nintendo Direct, I will probably just watch it live or just record my live reaction and just upload it as a video on demand right on the channel rather than streaming it. I'm still very interested in what they're actually going to announce. When's the release date going to be? How much is it going to cost? What games are going to come out for it? Some of the technical specs that people are just kind of rumoring about. And again, I want to know, is Nintendo finally going to catch on and add system level accessibility? Because Microsoft is doing it, Sony's doing it. Valve needs to kick it in the ass and do it for their Steam Deck, and Steam OS and even their Steam platform could be way better. So I'll be checking that out. The Game Accessibility Conference, the European edition, is next month. I want to say, what was it, like somewhere around like the 18th? Just go to gaconf.com, I believe, and that'll get you there. You can register for free if you want to attend virtually. Just keep in mind, if you live in North America and you want to tune in live and you want to watch it live and tune into the live chat, you're going to have to get up pretty early, 3, 4 in the morning, because European time, they're several hours ahead of us. But I will be doing that because I always enjoy following live in the chat and all that stuff. So I will absolutely be attending that. Actually, early this coming week, we are going to have the Microsoft Ability Summit, which is a free virtual event on this coming Tuesday. Just look up, I don't remember what the address for it is, but just look up like Microsoft Ability Summit. You can register for free. It's a virtual conference. I'm sure they're going to be talking about, like accessibility and AI, and because that's the big thing right now. So we'll see. We just actually heard about the Copilot stuff, and they're talking about Copilot in gaming now, where like you can kind of get live hints and guidance. I don't know to what degree that's going to be when it launches. I think they said next month to some degree, but it has some interesting potential for accessibility. I won't really talk much more about that because I have no idea in what state it's going to launch. So if it's something that I can cover when it comes out, we'll see. But yeah, Game Accessibility Conference. If, I get a lot of people, I'm interested in game accessibility. I'm interested in this type of career. How do you get into consulting? That, whether it's the European or North American version in the fall, that is a great way to start. You can, like if you live in America, maybe you want to attend the North American one in person, just to meet people, or you can again join their Discord and join the live chat during virtual. Meet other advocates, consultants, developers, publishers, any number of people. It's in the sessions themselves. You learn a ton. I don't remember if I said this already or not, but like I said, I may be releasing a bonus video depending on when the embargo is. I have to look it up again. But thanks to Ubisoft, I will be looking at the accessibility for Assassin's Creed Shadows that is coming out this coming week. So, yep, I will be able to cover that. I can't say any more at this time. But just know that I will be covering it and letting you know about its various levels of accessibility. And now we get into some other stuff. So I'm going to start with some, get the negative stuff out of the way so we can end with some more positivity. But the bad news just keeps on rolling in, man. I didn't even write all of the developers down, but, over the last month since I've recorded one of these or so, we have so many of these game developer closures or game cancellations. I just read on social media yesterday or something, there's another live service game that's getting shut down soon or just got shut down or something. But the one that I really wanted to talk about is Warner Brothers. I'm really starting to hate them, and I kind of feel bad for, and I kind of feel like I kind of fear for what'll happen with NetherRealm Studios because they're currently under Warner Brothers. Everybody knows the Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 9, 10, 11, and Mortal Kombat 1 with its awesome accessibility. But Warner Brothers management doesn't seem to know what they're doing whatsoever. You get these billionaire management type people who lead industries they know nothing about and run things into the ground, make stupid, horrible decisions, but yet they can't let their their salaries go, or they can't let their shareholders not rake in the money. So instead, let's just actually lay off and fire all the people that do the work, that we wouldn't be making the money if it weren't for these people to begin with. And so they shut down like 3 studios within the last month. One of them I'm really sad about, Monolith. You've heard me talk about Monolith in the past. They've been around since the 90s, and I know a lot of the people that used to work there probably don't anymore, but still, the name Monolith in the 90s and especially early to mid 2000s really meant something. They made Blood. I've covered and I've streamed Blood before. That build engine first person shooter. You had Duke 3D, Shadow Warrior, and Blood. Blood was really, really hard, but it was great. Played that a lot in the mid and late 90s. Shogo. I didn't play that one too much. Never really. I didn't get into that one as much, but it was cool. So the Shogo. They had No One Lives Forever 1 and 2. I played the hell out of those games back in the day in college. I found that version a few years ago so I could cover it on the channel. It was one I wanted to cover for a long time, and I found that version that worked. Fear. I love me some Fear. I've streamed it. I've done spotlights. I think, that was the one video where Chris and I were on, and we did, we did a little multiplayer and chatted about that. That was several years ago, but we have Fear 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 were, they had their moments, but the first Fear, man, so many memories about that game. Like, it looked amazing for its time. The shotgun, along with the Doom 2, like the Doom and Doom 2 shotguns, the shotgun, super shotgun. The Fear shotgun is just, it is so freaking good. It is top tier. Just shoot people and they explode into a cloud of mist, bloody mist. It's great. Your character had a body. You could like drop kick or slide kick people. Slow mo. That was a game where I actually played multiplayer a ton. Again, my friend Chris and we played. I was literally talking about that with him the other day because he didn't know that studio would close, and I told him that. He's like, "What?" Um, I still remember, we had the factory level was pretty fun, but it was the office and high tech. Those two levels, they were smaller levels, and they were lots of like smaller rooms and corridors, and it was just so much fun. Those damn trip mines that you could plant, you plant them under an armor power up, so someone jumps over the table and thinks they're going to get armor and they get exploded instead. Just so good. Um, and then they did the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games. I don't think I covered Shadow of War, but I know I covered Shadow of Mordor on the channel when it came out. And they had that whole cool Nemesis system where like you could piss off an orc, you'd beat them, and then they would come back injured and they would want vengeance and stuff. They had this whole hierarchy thing. Um, and then they just got swept up into, oh, you're just a studio that's gonna, toil away at whatever. I don't even know what they've had Monolith doing the last several years, because I think Shadow of War was probably their last real game that they released. And then I'm sure Warner Brothers was the one that made them add all those bullshit microtransactions in it and whatnot that the first game didn't have. Um, so it is a sad loss, man. They made so many. Oh, Condemned Criminal Origins. I just played Butcher's Creek earlier this year. Kind of really indie homage feeling game to Condemned. Just freaking hitting junkies with a lead pipe or a shovel. Just so good. Um, I think I did cover. Yeah, I think I covered Condemned on the channel. I can't remember. I know I played it a little bit when Riley was up here, but I don't remember if I was able to record it. I think I did. But yeah, I mean, so many games. There's probably some I'm even forgetting. Um, but yeah, no more Monolith. And no one lives forever. No one lives forever. Everybody wants that remastered. Night Dive to take a crack at it, but from what I understand, it's in develop. It's in the the rights for it are in some sort of weird limbo hell. So I don't know who owns what with that. Um, yeah, that's one that really, really needs to come back. That game was so good. But yeah, R.I.P. Monolith. Fear is still one of my favorite games of all time. So good. I don't normally do this, but I get asked about it a fair bit. And it's like sometimes you just want to vent a little bit. I'm not going to try to get too deep in the weeds of it, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. I try to stick to tech and gaming and accessibility and fun stuff, and I will rant and I will um, cover certain topical issues every now and again, but I mean, you have to be, I don't know. But I mean, everybody knows that there's so much going on in the world right now, mainly with the United States and our new regime, as I will call them. Um, a lot of bad things happening. Um, and so, people ask me, it's like, well, what's going to happen with, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen for people with disabilities? What's going to happen with, Social Security? What's going to happen with education, Department of Ed? Um, all kinds of different things. And so, where am I on all this? I mean, what I will say is I do not approve of the vast, vast majority of what the hell is going on in our government right now. Um, some of it just seems disgraceful. Some of it seems ludicrous. Some of it seems like our president needs a mental checkup or to be put in the loony bin at this point. Why would you piss off Canada? Why would you want to like, go to war and take over Canada? Like they've been our friendly neighbors to the north forever. I've been to Canada, not for several years, but I've been there a few times and it's been good. I know many people from Canada. Oh, you're going to be the first 51st state. The ironic thing is, if that actually ever happened, I think they would be so pissed that you probably wouldn't get your Republicans probably wouldn't get voted in again because they would probably vote the other side. But oh, we're gonna take over Greenland, we're gonna take over Canada. I'm like, what the hell, man? Um, just so screwy. Um, but what can I mean? That's one thing, and then you have, like I said, the Department of Education. They do a lot of help for people, underserved populations, low income, people with disabilities. In my day job, I don't work for, I work for another state agency, but we work with the Department of Ed quite a bit. Um, I'm on a few different like meeting groups and committees with them. If they're going to get gutted or defunded, um, where our organization is actually kind of an umbrella under the Department of Ed. And so if that went away, our organization might have to be like um, have to fall under a different organization, like employment. I forget what they said that it would probably move under. But it's just an absolute mess. It's the whole thing that drives me crazy is, they'll say it's never, oh, the tariffs are going to help, and you're going to wonder where all this money came from, and like it's going to be so great, and you not know what to do with all the money you're going to have. Yeah, that might be true if you're a millionaire, billionaire, but anything that helps, anything that could help someone with a lower income, any let's say marginalized group or any minority or anything that isn't them, that the 1%, nah, screw them, they're not, that's not who they're talking to. Getting rid of the Department of Education, that's where people, you have your IEPs, you get help for getting your school accommodations so that a student with a disability can have the same access to classes as their non-disabled classmates, getting assistive technology so that they can fully participate in school. I mean, even with the Department of Education, there are things that drive me absolutely batty, and there are huge gaps where there shouldn't be. And I won't even get into that here because I just, yeah, no, I don't want to even get into that here. But I think if the Department of Ed went away, I hate to say it, but I think it would even get worse. Because right now, you're trying to, at least you want to provide students at least a base level of, you should be able to access Braille, you should have access to technology or something to magnify, get large print books or magnify your tablet or your computer screen. There's just so many ways that this is going to screw over so many people. Veterans, like, oh, well, you hear them talking about like, oh, well, yeah, we respect the veterans and they come back from the war, but they shouldn't be working. They don't do anything. They sit in their office or they don't do any work, so we should just lay them all off. That's majorly insulting. Cutting benefits for people who come back from the war with, PTSD and other, get their arm blown off, or, just anything. Cutting back services for veterans, they give their life, they give their bodies, they give, they come back with some crazy stuff happening. I mean, like I said, my grandpa served in the war. Um, in And I know a lot of other veterans, just the fact that they're getting screwed over. I mean, they're fighting for our country. They're fighting for, our freedom, for so many different things. And to see them just treated so horribly, that really pisses me off. Social Security, that's something that we pay into. It's not a pyramid scheme. We pay into that. Like, man, if I paid all my Social Security in, when I'm working, I want that money back, man. Um, People have worked all their life and they put it into Social Security for their retirement. That shouldn't go away. People think, they keep saying that there's so much fraud. There might be some people taking more advantage of it than they should. Like, I mean, like I said, I've said even on the channel, like, I know several people. I'm not going to name names, but they are smart. They are fully capable. They may be low vision. They may be blind. Um, but other than that, they are intelligent. The rest of their body works, and they've literally flat out basically said that, to me, why should I work when I can get the government to just give me free money? Now that does piss me off. I think that that especially, SSDI isn't so bad because you've put money in, you've earned your quarters, and then, like, you get disabled on the job or whatever, you have an accident or something, like, that makes sense. But like SSI, they make it punishing, so like they should really incentivize people to work. Like, I mean, and just even if it's not like taking advantage of the government, I just have this feeling of like, I don't want to be thought of as a mooch. I don't want to be thought of as incapable. Yes, I want the money when I work. I want money, but I don't want to feel like a burden on my family. I don't want to have to feel like I'm asking friends for everything all the time. I don't want to feel like I'm not giving anything back and I just take, sit in my one bedroom apartment and collect my check and subsidize my apartment and get food stamps, or just, because when you're on one of these programs, you have to be on all of them. Um, so there's that part of it. And I know that's not a popular opinion, especially among the disability community. I know that's not popular. And like I said, there are definitely situations where people legitimately cannot work. They have multiple disabilities, or they have a very severe disability that does prevent them from working, in some cases. But like, it's funny, I'll see so many people, they're like, I'm on Twitter or I'm on chat things like social media 15 hours a day, and they're like, well, but I don't have any money. I'm on a fixed income. Well, if I can be on a computer every day for 10, 15 hours, I could probably get a computer job, even if especially now when you're working from home, some more remote jobs. But, that aside, I think Social Security is still a very important service for people with disabilities, people, um, seniors, all that kind of stuff. So, of course, I don't want that to go away. I think it could be restructured a little better. Um, I remember when I was on it for a little while, they underpaid you, overpaid you. I talked about that in different videos, but that's a whole kind of nightmare in itself. Like, for me, I find it's actually easier for me to work than it is to go through all the shenanigans, the reporting and the overpayment and underpayment and all the check-ins and that you have to do with, Social Security. I'm like, I'll just work. It's easier. But like, I don't want to see that really being gutted either. Um, Freedom of speech is the other one that really gets me. Is they they talk about like, oh, freedom of speech is back and we can joke around and whatever, like Elon or Trump, oh, freedom of speech is back. But especially the last couple of weeks, literally, no, freedom of speech is okay until you say something that I don't like. Until you say something that disagrees with me, or if you call me names, or if you say that what I'm doing is wrong, then they become toddlers. They kick and scream, and oh, you called me you hurt my feelings, and you called me a bad name, or you yelled at me when I was doing a town hall. Um, it's just they're literally wanting to call certain news organizations illegal because their version of the news they're releasing they're saying their opinions are different from what the different administration is, what the regime is. Well, your opinion is different, so you should be illegal and you're mean to me. I may not agree with you. Like I said, you may not agree with me on everything. I don't expect you to. What I just said about people with disabilities working and not working, I'm sure that annoys a lot of people. Um, but you have the right to disagree. I have the right to disagree. We can talk like civilized human beings, and that's what it is. That's what literally the First Amendment. You're not hurting anybody. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not um, slandering anybody. Um, but yeah, it's just so stupid. Oh, we're talking a big game about freedom of speech, but then they just get all temper tantrumy and whiny. And the moment somebody says they disagree with them, says something they disagree with, and they call them terrorists, or they want to make them, oh, it should be illegal. Like, whatever. You guys are stupid. Now, that being said, um, and then it's just the whole thing is the endless contradictions of this whole regime. They say one thing, totally do. I mean, I know that's been a politics thing as long as there's been politics, but they've at least tried to hide it in the past. Like now it's literally just like flaunting it basically, like, hey, we're going to invade this and we're going to, stick up for Russia and we're going to invade Canada and Greenland, and just stupid stuff to distract you from what they're really trying to do. Um, but like, as far as like the free speech and stuff, if you don't like what this current administration is doing, you should absolutely be able to speak up about it. You should be able to protest peacefully. You should be able to write articles. You should be able to have, videos or newscasts or whatever, and just tell the facts as they are. Point out lies and contradictions that they're spouting constantly. God, that press secretary, I can't stand her. I forget her name, but but that being said, running around and starting Teslas on fire or vandalizing businesses that, it's like, do I like Elon Musk? No, I think the guy's off his rocker. Um, but if you want to, do a sit-in and or protest outside of a Tesla dealership, great, go for it. If you want to sell your Tesla because you don't agree with them and you don't want to support them, great. But vandalizing the property, starting things on fire, smashing cars, no, that is not what free speech is. That's not like that's peaceful. You want to have peaceful um, protesting, I guess. So I don't know. I could say a lot more than I did. I tried to be polite about it on the channel. Again, I work for the state. It's not, I work for the state. I worry about what happens with our organization. We get a lot of our stuff through state funding, but we get some federal funding, and even if we lose some federal funding, that could affect how much more we have to cover from our state budget. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I have more thoughts, but again, I want to keep it professional. I want to keep it, but I want to still, the facts are what they are. It's just, it's a scary time. Um, if they want to, if they want to take away everything DEI related, and if you include accessibility in that, are they going to try to go after the Americans with Disabilities Act? They're already talking about going after IDEA. Hell, the people that were being interviewed didn't even know what IDEA was. That's a great thing. Oh, we want to get rid of a thing. We don't even know what it is. But like if, what's going to happen to people with disabilities if those things get gutted? If they just say, oh, you don't have to accommodate for people with disabilities anymore. Yes, being blind or visually impaired or having a disability is still hard in a lot of cases. Like there are still things that are not accessible to us. Travel is still an issue. Kiosks at places, any number of different things, certain websites, certain programs, of course. Getting a job. Just watch my employment video and my growing up illegally cited video. I'll tell you all about it. So there's still a number of things, but we've, since the ADA and even before then, we've made at least a lot of progress. I'm glad to say that I have a full-time job. I have a secondary part-time career. I've been living independently and supporting myself for over 20 years, and I feel like I can, aside from some challenges, I can do everything and live the life the way that I want to in this country, and I don't want that taken away. I don't want us to be institutionalized again. It's like, oh, we'll lock all the disability people up because we can't have them in society. Um, who knows? I mean, that the way things are looking, the way that this administration talks, it kind of really makes you wonder. So, like I said, I know I kind of danced around it a little bit. I could have been a lot more blunt. Part of me wants to, but part of me is like, no, that's not what this channel is about. I still try to look at things that give me hope, and we need that right now. So speaking of hope and some entertaining things, and speaking of a blind person, I've been catching up on a couple of series on different streaming services. And Daredevil Born Again. Unfortunately, they're drip feeding us one episode at a time, but the first 3 episodes of that are out, and it's really good. I really like it. It's based on before you watch Daredevil Born Again, which is on Disney Plus, by the way, you really should go watch the Netflix Daredevil series because it's basically a kind of a direct sequel to those exact characters, those voice actor, or not voice actors, those actors, because it's live action. The season 2 wasn't quite as good, but season 1 and 3, like especially the Daredevil and the Kingpin, were really good. And Wilson Fisk is back in Born Again, but again, it helps if you've seen that first series to build from it. But I genuinely like it. I think I like the Netflix series. I like Born Again so far. I'm definitely going to be keeping up with that when they release new episodes. And I know people complain about, oh, well, not, blind people aren't like Daredevil. It's a comic book, like I give them leeway because it's a comic book. People don't go into the toxic waste dump by a factory and grow mutant powers either in real life. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And Daredevil's a cool character. I like Daredevil. So there's that one. And then, good God Almighty, this is an Amazon series. If you get Amazon Prime, Invincible. It is an animated superhero series. They just wrapped up their third season, and holy God, um, things like Deadpool or Kick-Ass. You have these M-rated superhero things, or even The Boys. I haven't caught up on all those either. Um, this is an animated series, but it is gnarly as hell, man. There's a lot of violence in some of the episodes. I mean, people are literally getting their faces pounded in. There's blood everywhere. People getting decapitated, and it's pretty crazy. But it's got a good story. It's kind of got this whole, what I like about a lot of the Marvel series. I'm not even sure what I don't know if this is. I don't think this is Marvel, but like, the reason I like Marvel over DC in a lot of cases is it's not just a superhero. You have the real life lives and, personalities behind all of the superheroes. Your Peter Parker, your Matt Murdock, your, any different thing like that. Like you have the human element to it, and they're just really good. So Invincible is a pretty gnarly series, and I'm kind of bummed that we're probably going to have to wait who knows how long for another season of that, because of course they left it off on a cliffhanger. But you want a wild ride, and I should mention both of these are audio described. So if you want to look at the Netflix Daredevil series, you want to look at Daredevil Born Again and Invincible, they are audio described. So have fun. I might have talked about this last time, but like I said, it's been a blur. I don't remember. I also finished Cobra Kai because they wrapped up their series. So it would have been probably February, because I think it was Valentine's Day, February 14th, that they released that. But I literally watched the last 5 episodes again a couple of weeks later just to watch it. And boy, howdy, that is, like I said, if you like Karate Kid, even if you don't like Karate Kid, some of the stuff is a little over the top sometimes and it's a little cheesy, but it's fun. It's just a really fun series. I love the old actors, William Zabka, who plays Johnny, is amazing. He's so freaking funny. He's like so stuck in the 80s, and he's like, "Oh, I'm the coolest people. I'm riding around on my Trans Am or whatever," and 80s music, but then he's so clueless as to modern day. Like, we gotta get that hash brown Cobra Kai, or he's never used Facebook. He's like, "Well, I threw my phone away." Well, you got it on your computer, right? It's just so funny. Like the episode where he does Uber, where he does ride sharing. It's hilarious. Um, Daniel and Chosen. I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but there are so many characters that come back from the original series, and the respect that they kind of bring them back. But then all the new kids, Miguel, Hawk, Tori, Robbie, Sam, Dimitri, even people that came in the midway through, like oh crud, why can't I think of your name? Shoot, I can't think of it, so I'm not going to say. But Terry Silver, I mean, he's just freaking Terry Silver and John Kreese. So good. Um, they're on, the whole series is on Netflix now. I genuinely hope that they come out with a physical collector's edition, because I will buy that in a heartbeat. Of course, you've seen a lot of my videos. I have the Cobra Kai wallpaper. I love the logo, but it's such a great series. It's so fun. It's just genuinely fun. It is audio described, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite series of all times, I think. Then we get into some games. You know how addicted I've been over the last few years to a little game called Power Wash Simulator. I've covered it once or twice. I think I did what's the word I'm looking for? Access Unlocked. I think I did a video for that. It's just this zen, relaxing game. I can put on a podcast, an audiobook. Um, Earlier on where it was like you were doing remote, like I would never watch things while in a meeting. But it's just such a zen game. You can multitask and listen or do something else while you're playing it. I don't even want to know how many hours I've put into that game. They've added DLC regularly. We just had literally new DLC for the game, a Wallace and Gromit themed DLC within the last 2 weeks. And we just heard there sometime in 2025 we get a Power Wash Simulator 2. So it's going to have all new levels, and I don't know if how much the graphics are going to be updated and whatnot, but a multiplayer, and so I'm very, very much looking forward to that. I need more Zen in my life. I need more positivity and Zen. Looking forward to Doom, of course. Doom in May. I really, really just everything that they're saying about it. Like I get the acrobatics of Doom Eternal. And it's a really mixed game because some people really, really like they love the platforming or they hated it. They loved the way that they made you kind of forced you to use different weapons for different situations, or they had a very specific way that they kind of wanted you, they kind of almost forced you to play certain ways and with certain types of enemies and encounters, which was a little bit different than Doom 2016. But this one, Doom, what was it? The Dark Age? I always forget what the subtitle of it is. But it's supposed to be more grounded. You're supposed to be more of like this walking tank. You've got that spinny blade shield. It just looks so fun. Looks so good. So I am very much looking forward to that. Then we also heard about a RoboCop Rogue City standalone expansion. They don't have a date for it, but it's coming out this summer, and I am all about that. God, what was it? Yeah, that would have been 2 years ago. 2023? Was that when that came out? It had to have been, because I don't think it was last October. Good God, time is just like this weird. I don't even know what linear time is anymore. But I've wanted a good RoboCop game forever. The first RoboCop movie is violent as hell. It's a great action movie, but if you actually pay attention and actually watch the story, it's really good. It's one of my favorite 80s action movies, just general action movies of all time. RoboCop is so good. RoboCop 2, it has its moments, it's fine. RoboCop 3 is mostly pretty terrible, but you can't go wrong with the first movie. And the RoboCop Rogue City, yeah, they maybe could have done a few things a little bit differently, but I thought it was just going to be a mindless shooter. But it was this kind of they had these semi-open world levels. They had quests, side quests. You could explore these open environments. You could talk to people. You shoot dudes. You could upgrade your systems and upgrade your gun. It was far deeper than I thought it ever would be. And the presentation of it, like they really treated the source material well. And we're getting a new RoboCop game, or we're getting more RoboCop Rogue City content, and sign me the hell up because I covered the demo, I covered the full game, and I will be there day one. I'm glad that developer is doing more RoboCop, so hell yeah. I'd buy that for $1. Terminator 2D. That is another thing that they announced. So they're taking basically a lot of the scenes from Terminator 2. And again, that was another franchise like RoboCop in the 8 and 16-bit days. They had those games, but most of them were freaking terrible. But this one looks pretty cool. Like they showed like the motorcycle scene where they're chasing down the road and down the when the semi's chasing them. They showed running and gunning. They showed the bar scene. Like there's just, I don't know, it looks pretty cool. It seems like that's going to be good. And if I remember correctly, I thought I heard somebody say, was it the team that made Streets of Rage 4, or was that a different game I'm thinking of? So that's coming out sometime this summer, and I'm definitely curious to check that out. Oh, okay, yeah, and then of course The Last of Us 2 is coming in early April. I think that's April 2nd or 3rd. Definitely be looking at that. Again, I mentioned CSUN 2025. That wrapped up this week. And I don't know, it's weird because, blind bargains used to be a thing. They used to cover it really extensively. If you look up Double Tap on YouTube, do like Double Tap Blind, whatever, Double Tap CSUN. They have a podcast you can subscribe to, an audio podcast, and they have a video. They have done a few videos throughout this past week where they've gone to the different booths of some of the exhibitors, and they've had interviews with some of the developers and stuff. And so I didn't go this year. A couple of my coworkers did. And so I'll probably find out more, I'll get more of their thoughts when I talk to them in the next week or so at some point. But, we really didn't hear a ton about, or at least I didn't hear a ton about what was being really shown off at the exhibit hall. I mean, of course, you're going to have your new versions of JAWS and Zoom Text and Fusion and NVDA and all the software and things. Not quite sure what new features are coming to all of these, although I did hear a few things about NVDA. They are finally going to be adding right now you have to use the remote extension, or the remote add-on if you want to do remote control another computer. I guess one of the upcoming updates that's coming soon is going to integrate that natively into NVDA, so you won't have to download that separate remote add-on, and that'll be nice. And I think they also said they're going to have an add-on updater. So right now, it'll tell you, hey, there's an update for this available. But I think you're going to be able to get auto updates for some of these add-ons. And I thought I also heard them say something about they're fixing things in a way that I think hopefully, every time a new update for NVIDIA gets released, a lot of the add-ons will break. And that's kind of bugged me for a long time, especially when I tried. I remember several years ago I got that Eloquence add-on just to try it, and every time I updated NVDA, the damn thing would break, and I'd have to get a new version, and it just was a pain in the butt. And so I just said, screw this, and then they started supporting the Windows voices, and so I didn't do that anymore. But just some of these quality of life improvements, remote access, auto updates, maybe hopefully making it so that your add-ons won't break every time they update a new version. That would be fantastic. And like everybody else, they're looking at maybe not immediately, but sometime probably I would guess in the next year, they're going to have some sort of AI functionality built into NVDA for things like image description and things like that. Then just some of the things that I remember seeing on some of those double tap videos. They had this device that I'd heard about. I think it's called One Court, and they're releasing them in certain sporting event arenas where you can get them at the service counter for free when you're watching a game. And it's this like tactile tablet thing that you put in your lap, and it like vibrates sort of in real time to show you where the players are and like where the ball is. They've done things for basketball, football, soccer, baseball. They described it a little bit. I mean, it sounds sort of interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to really see how. Part of me thinks it sounds a little gimmicky, but part of me is like genuinely curious of like, oh, would that actually really help me figure out where, not only where the ball is, but where the players are and how the plays are actually unfolding. So I don't know. I mean, eventually they are going to release a version of it so you can buy it and watch it or use it at home. No idea what that's going to cost, but that was one other thing that they had covered. We have more Orbit displays. You have the cheaper Orbit reader if you want to get access to Braille. Before we had the Braille e-readers from NLS, we had the Orbit reader devices, and now they have QWERTY models, a 20 and a 40 cell. So that if you want a QWERTY keyboard with your Orbit, you can get those. And Ally is publicly out. Literally, I did that video with that deep dive into the Envision Ally app a couple weeks ago. That app is now publicly available. You can search for it in the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. Some people have said they've had a little trouble finding it because there's a lot of different Ally apps for different things. If you look for Envision, Envision, you probably would be able to find it that way. There's Envision AI, which is their older app, but then Ally, you'll probably see that as well. It's a really cool app, though. You have your live conversation. Go check out my iOS Accessible App Spotlight video for Ally. You can have it describe pictures from your camera, from your phone's camera. But you can, like I said, it's so hard to explain in a couple of sentences here, but there's literally so much you can do with it. One thing that I will tell you, since I did that video, it's kind of disappointing. I guess I get why they had to do it, but it's still really disappointing. The voices that you hear in that video are the 11 Labs voices. They're really high quality. They're very natural, flowing, human-sounding voices. But I guess there were some people that were having some problems with that, with the way, the performance of it, or even on the back end when they were developing things, at a high scale when a lot more people are using it. At this time or something, it was causing a little bit too many problems. So I forget I don't even know what the engine, I don't think I've ever even heard of the engine that they're using. But they actually for now anyway, they switched away from the 11 Labs voices, and they have these other voices now that I don't like nearly as much. And the general consensus in the beta Slack channel is that, yeah, people generally don't like them. But I did notice, and this is probably for the last week and a half or so, 2 weeks tops now, that they did that. When they originally switched the synthesizers or switched the speech engines, the voices were really, like how in Windows or even on iOS, you have the compact voices, and then you have the enhanced voices, and the compact ones, they sound tinny, they sound a little bit muffled. It was like that, but then on top of that, the fluidity of the speech, to me, the presentation, the way that they would talk just sounded stilted. They would have, that's why I really didn't use natural sounding voices for the longest time, because there was a smoothness to a robotic voice, especially at higher speeds, that these natural voices didn't have. They would have these sort of weird, like a jerkiness to the audio, and it kind of drove me crazy. But I think they must have, I don't know if they sprung for like I said, I almost wonder if when they switched originally, they were using some compact versions of the voices. Because I've been using Ally again the last day or two and showing it to a few other people through work, and they don't sound as muffled as they used to. So I wonder, even if they're using the same lesser quality voices, I almost have a sneaking suspicion that they may be sprung for the higher bitrate version, which definitely does help. I have found a voice or two that I can live with. It's fine for what it is. But the female voice that I was using in the previous video, I was really kind of getting to like her. And then that male voice, that Clyde voice that I had in the original Ally video, or when I think it was called Envision Assistant back then, I want those voices back because they're so much better. So it is available for free. Ally is available for free in the App Store and Play Store right now. And even when you go under the settings in the app, they will say, hey, this is free right now, But as we, roll out the launch more, as we add more features and things and need to support our development, they may add a premium tier at some point. So, some of the more advanced features, or, there'll be a few things that you'll probably have it'll probably be a subscription. I doubt it'll just be like a one-time purchase. There'll probably be like a premium subscription for some advanced features. And as long as it's not too expensive, I would support it because I do find myself using Ally a fair bit. I mean, I use it for not so much the camera stuff, but like literally I'll be thinking of something like I have a weird question and trying to figure out how to ask it, word the search on Google, especially when Google search has turned into complete garbage lately. Um, it's it's cool. Like, oh, why does this happen? Or can you tell me about this thing? Like, I want to know more about a topic or a term or something. Or, oh, what was that movie? This movie reminded me of this other show. It was in the 80s and it had this guy and then they did this thing over here and like I've I've been able to figure out names of movies and games that I haven't been able to figure out in years. Literally the other day I was asking about a DOS game a demo that I used to play back in the day. It was on a demo disc. It was called Zargon, by the way. It was like this kind of 2D platformer demo for PC, Zargon, Xargon. Finally figured out what the hell that game was called. There's just so many things you can do with it. So check out that video if you haven't already and go download the app. It's pretty cool. I talked about Double Tap. Again, just go check out if you want to watch. They have at least 4 or 5 videos for CSUN week. And that's CSUN, those are some of the things that I really just wanted to talk about. I wanted to give people an update on the channel, what's going on in my life. Like I said, things are really busy through work right now. We're just trying to keep business as usual. I've been meeting with a lot of students, trying to help them however I can. Meetings, and I've been attending a few little virtual trainings and virtual tech events and our assistive technology webinars and things. Like I said, we have the Ability Summit this coming week. We have GA Conf in April. But with all this uncertainty, with all the feds losing their damn minds, what's going to happen to Social Security? What's going to happen to the Department of Education? How is that going to impact all the people, of course, all the people that are getting laid off or things like that. But then even the people, like I said, I work for the state, and so how is that going to trickle down and affect us? Is our organization going to have to go under a different, federal umbrella? Who the hell knows? It is rather chaos right now. Thankfully, right now, things are kind of normal for me. I mean, I'm doing my job the way I always have. Doing the best I can. If I'm going to work, I'm going to do things, I'm going to try to do things right, to the best of my ability. The channel's not going anywhere. Lots of game videos to do yet. Games coming out constantly. I've got a backlog. Again, lots of games to look forward to. I talked about some of them that I know that are coming out. And I'm very curious. I know some of the games are going to have, like I said, we have Assassin's Creed coming out soon. We have South of Midnight coming out. I wonder what the final accessibility options or features are going to be for that game. Doom. As I said in an earlier video, I was mentioning something about it, I think on Blue Sky, and somebody from id had replied to me. They were a little cheeky about it, but they're like, well, we can't say anything now because I was wondering about what accessibility would be in Doom. But she kind of teased. She's like, I can't say anything right now, but prepare to be pleasantly surprised or something. I'm like, ooh. I don't remember what the exact quote was, but it gave me hope. And I realize that the new games are vastly more complex than the original Doom games. But first-person shooter people, come on, man! Look at Toby. Look at Toby Doom. Look at Toby, the Toby accessibility mod. If we can get a 30-year-old game engine to do all the crazy stuff that Toby Doom is doing, especially with 7.5 and 8.0, the breadcrumbs for navigating to a door or a known objective, an unexplored area of the map, all of these different things, compass, ammo, targeting. I mean, just so many features. This is a 30-year-old engine, and I didn't, even back in version like 5.0, I didn't think half this stuff would be possible. But thank you to Mr. Alan D1, Predoa, and the rest of the team, because they're doing some pretty magical things over there. So if they can do it, come on, man, we got to get these newer games to be more accessible too. But I've rambled on enough here. This is going to be a long video. I'm just going to upload this and probably unlock it for you guys today. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting the channel. You can give the video a like if you did. You can follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, Blue Sky at Illegally Cited, illegally-cited.com, and of course, right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.